and welcome to the Take 10 webinar, How to Turn Supervisors into Performance Managers. This Take 10 series is presented by CRG emPerform and is designed to deliver practical and specific information in only 10 minutes. Our host today is Marnie Green. Marnie is the Principal Consultant for the Management Education Group and author of Painless Performance Evaluations. Some of Marnie's many impressive accomplishments include establishing a leadership development program for the City of Phoenix and working with a team of international trainers and managers to create a system-wide change program for the World Health Organization. Her clients include dozens of corporations, startups, and government agencies, including the U.S. Bureau of Land Management and the City of Las Vegas. Marnie is a frequent speaker at local, national, and international conferences and has partnered with emPerform on several occasions to deliver some very successful and exciting webinars. So thank you very much for joining us again today, Marnie. I'll let you get started.
Thank you. A few years ago, Leadership IQ, a Washington-based leadership surveys ever involving 125,000 leaders from 1,500 organizations across a spectrum of industries, and their findings were astounding and really drive the need for improved performance management practices today. Their 2009 survey data revealed that 66% of employees said they have too little interaction with their bosses, and 67% said they get too little positive feedback from their bosses. At the same time, 50% said that they get too little constructive feedback, and 65% said that when their bosses criticize poor performance, they don't provide enough useful information to be helpful. Clearly, at least from the employee's perspective, we need to do a better job of managing performance. But why is employee engagement and employee performance such a buzzword? A Towers-Watson survey revealed what most of us already know, that clear communication leads to greater levels of engagement and higher levels of employee retention. And most organizations expect supervisors to carry the burden. That's our front line with employees. And yet, when we look at the survey data, few organizations are providing the necessary tools for supervisors to do the job that they need to do to manage employee performance. So if we know that we need to improve communications with employees and that providing tools to supervisors is the way to do it, where do we start? I'd like to offer you 5 tools that you can implement right now to help the supervisors in your organization become powerful employee performance managers. Tool number 1, help supervisors see that performance management is a cyclical, constant process, and use the performance management cycle to help them understand that. How do you present the concept of performance management to your supervisors? Many organizations focus on the annual performance evaluation, the big deal once-a-year conversation. And then we wonder why the culture is not performance-driven. So we really need to help supervisors understand that performance management is an ongoing cyclical process. The performance management cycle begins with clearly defining your organization's goals, strategic plans, and objectives. And the individual's performance should be linked directly to the organization's goals. Ideally, managers and supervisors meet on a regular basis with employees to provide feedback and make adjustment to those performance plans and keep good records about those conversations so that when it comes time to prepare the performance evaluation, it's really just a summary of those previous conversations, and that there are no surprises, and that the performance evaluation meeting itself is really more about the future. And it's not something we're doing to employees, but it's something we're doing with our employees. So the performance management cycle is not a new concept. Many of you are probably very familiar with this idea. Yet many organizations struggle to fully implement all of the steps. To create a performance-driven culture and to turn your supervisors into performance managers, it's critical to support and reward those who are carrying out all of these steps, not just that last step of the performance evaluation. So use this outline for your performance management training. You can send reminders to supervisors in the form of emails or other supporting tools at relevant times throughout your performance management year to encourage supervisors to stay engaged at every step of the process. Tool number 2 is that we can help supervisors clarify their performance expectations. Here's an exercise you might want to try to help your supervisors be clearer about what they expect in terms of good performance. Ask supervisors to write down the behaviors of an ideal employee. These can be general behaviors or job-specific tasks. Using the ideal as a template, ask supervisors to write a list of their must-have behaviors on the job. And even though the job description defines the essential functions of the job, every supervisor has his or her own expectations or visions for what good performance is all about. So these expectations often separate the good from the great performers. So for example, a common behavior that a supervisor might expect is timeliness. But one supervisor said he expected that everyone on the team would be on time and prepared for meetings. So when a new employee joined the work unit, the supervisor would give a copy of his written expectations to the new employee, which included the need to be on time and prepared for meetings. So rarely did the supervisor have problems with late starting meetings or unprepared employees because he had set that expectation the minute the employee started in the work group. These kinds of expectations may seem really obvious, really basic, but when stated clearly by supervisors and in writing, they become easier to address when employees don't meet the expectations and easier to reward when they do. Performance management training should provide supervisors with practical tools for articulating what their expectations actually are. In fact, the Gallup organization has determined that knowing what's expected is highly rated as a determinant of employee satisfaction and performance effectiveness. So how do you get employees excited about their work and engaged in the goals of the enterprise? It's really pretty basic. We give them a goal, we give them a focus, we give them a reason to come to work. And when we're clear about what's expected, we'll get what we expect. Tool number 3 for turning supervisors into performance managers is to help supervisors do a better job of creating documentation. We've all seen the cases where the supervisor is fed up, wants to terminate an employee, yet they have little or no documentation to support their decision. So here's a few ideas for helping supervisors maintain better documentation. First, encourage the supervisor to use a performance log, some kind of a standardized form that helps supervisors know where to put their notes about performance and in a specific format that reminds them of the critical elements of that documentation. So a log can be maintained in paper format, in electronic format. It could be kept in a notebook the supervisor carries around with them if they work in the field. But regardless, they need to have a repository for where they keep these kinds of notes. Second, most online performance management systems include an electronic performance log. And technology really can help to automate and simplify the process of documentation and then therefore the process of completing the evaluations. So tools like emPerform are a great solution to help supervisors keep better documentation. Tool number 4 is that we have to help supervisors have frequent and specific conversations with employees. We need to give them the tools to be able to do that confidently. So there are a variety of tools that you can implement to help the supervisors in your organization have more frequent and meaningful conversations. Here's a couple things to consider. Number 1, expect it. Expect that your supervisors will be having weekly or biweekly or monthly touch-base one-on-one meetings. Make that part of the expectations that you have for supervisors. If it's not a basic expectation of the supervisor, they're probably not going to do it, or many of them will choose not to do it, I guess. Number 2, provide a one-on-one agenda or some structure that supervisors can follow. It can be as easy as 3 questions. What are your greatest accomplishments? What are your big challenges right now? What do you need to be successful? But supervisors, I find, especially new ones, folks who are newly promoted, need to have a plan or a structure for conducting regular performance conversations. These regular one-on-one meetings are also a great time to review performance metrics that drive your work. Third, I think to make these performance conversations meaningful, we have to allow employees to drive it. So one idea would be to have the employee come to the meeting with 4 lines. 4 lines on a piece of paper, which might be the 3 things that they accomplished in the past week and 1 thing they're going to work on in the coming week. And then that becomes the basis of the conversation that the supervisor has about the employee's performance. Tool number 5 is to help supervisors engage employees in the management of their own performance. Again, performance management isn't something that we do to employees. It should be something that we do with employees. But employees need to understand the role that they play if we're going to do this with them. So the four-liner is one example, having the employee actually bring examples of their performance to the conversations. Another idea is to invite and encourage employees to keep a record of their own performance, their accomplishments, and to be prepared to share their notes at evaluation time. Most performance management technology solutions will include an opportunity for employees to track their own accomplishments and then easily share those electronically with their supervisor. But even in a low-tech environment, a simple me file where employees keep track of their own accomplishments can be very helpful. A me file might include a record of training that they've accomplished, key project accomplishments, and ideas for future goals. But employees need to understand that that's expected of them. Effective management of employee performance certainly doesn't happen by accident. In the best practice organizations, strong performance management is modeled by management, it's actively supported by human resources, and it's driven by sound technology solutions. With robust performance practices in place, supervisors truly can become managers of performance, and organizations will experience higher levels of employee engagement and enhanced productivity. Best of luck.
Thank you, Marnie. That was great. I want to thank you for watching the emPerform Take 10 webinar. Just a reminder that the PowerPoint slides are available for download on the employee-performance.com website. And also, if you have any questions for emPerform or for Marnie, please feel free to contact us.